Lena woke up early, before the sun had fully risen, the soft golden light spilling into the small room she shared with her mother. The morning air was cold, and the wooden floorboards creaked as she walked barefoot to the kitchen. Her mother, lying on the old mattress, looked frail. Her face, usually warm and full of smiles, was pale and tired. Lena's heart tightened every time she saw her like this. She gently shook her mother awake. "Mom, it's time to get ready," she whispered, careful not to startle her. Her mother opened her eyes slowly, trying to summon a small smile, but Lena could see the pain lingering behind it. They had been living like this for months. Medical bills were piling up, and Lena had been doing everything she could to keep them afloat. She cleaned houses, ran errands, delivered groceries, and even helped at a small bakery. But the money was never enough. Every day was a struggle, and yet Lena refused to give up. She knew her mother's life depended on it. After helping her mother sit up and drink some warm tea, Lena walked to the tiny living room where a worn-out box sat in the corner. It was filled with dolls she had made over the years. Some were old, some had missing buttons or frayed clothes, but each one had a story. Each one had a piece of her heart. Lena picked up a small doll with a painted face and stitched dress, running her fingers over the delicate work. A thought had been lingering in her mind for weeks. Maybe she could sell the dolls. It wouldn't be easy, but she had to try. She grabbed a small blanket, laid the dolls on it neatly, and stepped outside. The morning market was beginning to wake up. Street vendors were setting up their stalls, and the air was filled with the smell of fresh bread, spices, and coffee. Lena found a quiet corner and sat down, arranging the dolls as best she could. She hoped someone would notice them, hoped someone would buy at least one, enough to buy some medicine for her mother. Hours passed. People walked by, some glanced at the dolls, others didn't even look. A few children stopped, intrigued, but their parents hurried them along. Lena tried to smile at everyone who passed, trying to seem confident, but inside she felt nervous. Every time she thought someone might buy, they walked away. Her stomach knotted with worry. By midday, she had sold only one doll, and it barely covered the cost of the tea and a small snack she had bought for her mother. Lena's shoulders sagged as she gathered the unsold dolls. She felt a wave of discouragement. Maybe this wasn't going to work. Maybe she wasn't good enough. She looked around at the busy streets, the people with their lives so full of ease, and felt a pang of envy and sadness. She missed the days when life felt simple, when she didn't have to worry about money or illness, but those days were gone. Determined not to give up, Lena found a quiet bench under a tree. She pulled out a notebook and began sketching ideas for new dolls. She wanted them to be different, something that would make people stop and smile. She drew tiny dresses, added bright colors, and imagined little accessories that would make each doll unique. Her hands worked quickly, her mind focused, as if the act of creating could push away the fear and doubt. A few hours later, she had several new designs, fresh and full of life. Lena smiled faintly. Maybe tomorrow would be better. Maybe tomorrow someone would see the love she had poured into each doll. She packed them carefully into her small bag, making sure none were damaged. As she walked back home, the afternoon sun casting long shadows on the street, she thought about her mother. When she entered their tiny apartment, her mother was sitting up, trying to read an old book. Lena placed the dolls on the small table. "I tried today," she said softly. Her mother looked up, her tired eyes filled with warmth. "I know, Lena. I know you're doing everything you can," she said, her voice weak but full of love. "I'm proud of you." That night, Lena lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She thought about the people who had ignored her dolls, the few who had smiled at them, and the ones who had walked past without a second glance. She thought about her mother's illness and how every small coin could make a difference. And then she made a silent promise to herself. She would not give up. She had to find a way to make this work, no matter how hard it was. The next morning, Lena woke even earlier. She wanted to find a better spot in the market, one where more people would see her dolls. She packed the dolls carefully, making sure they looked neat and appealing. On the way to the market, she noticed a few children playing near the fountain. One little girl stopped to look at her dolls. Lena knelt down and smiled. "Do you like them?" she asked gently. The girl nodded, pointing at a doll with a pink dress. Lena handed it to her. The girl's eyes lit up with joy. "I want this one," she said, her tiny hands clutching the doll. Her mother came over, handed Lena some coins, and thanked her. Lena felt a small warmth in her chest. One sale might not change everything, but it was a start. Hours went by and Lena tried her best to show her dolls to as many people as she could. She learned to speak with confidence, to smile even when her heart felt heavy, and to answer questions about her creations. Some people laughed at her, thinking she was too young, too inexperienced. Others looked surprised at the care she had put into each doll. A few even stopped to ask where she had learned to make them. Lena realized that selling the dolls wasn't just about money. It was about connecting with people, sharing a piece of herself with them. As the sun began to set, Lena gathered her remaining dolls. She hadn't sold many, but she had learned something important that day. She had learned that persistence mattered, that even small steps could make a difference, and that hope was something she could hold on to, no matter how hard life became. That evening, Lena helped her mother take her medicine and prepared a simple dinner. They ate quietly, the soft clinking of utensils the only sound in the small room. Afterward, Lena sat by her mother's side, holding her hand. "Tomorrow I'll try again," she said softly. Her mother smiled faintly, squeezing her hand. "I know you will, my brave girl." As Lena lay in bed that night, she thought about the future. She didn't know where this journey would lead, or if she would ever earn enough to save her mother, but she knew one thing for certain: she would not stop trying. The dolls in her bag were more than just toys. They were a symbol of her determination, her love, and her hope. And as long as she had hope, she knew she could face whatever challenges came her way. The next morning, as Lena stepped into the busy streets again, she felt a mixture of fear and excitement. She didn't know it yet, but today would be different. Today, a chance encounter would change the course of her life in ways she could never have imagined. And though she had no idea what was coming, she walked with her head held high, carrying not just her dolls, but her dreams and her unwavering courage. The next morning, Lena woke up before the sun again, the cold air biting at her skin as she got ready for another day at the market. She carried her bag of dolls carefully, thinking about yesterday's small success. Even though she had sold only a few, the joy in the children's faces had made her heart swell. She hoped today would be better, that maybe more people would stop and notice her creations. As she walked down the familiar streets, she thought about her mother lying in bed at home. Her mother's illness weighed on Lena's mind constantly, but she tried not to let fear take over. Every step, every doll she displayed, felt like a small act of love, a promise that she would not give up no matter what. By mid-morning, Lena had found a crowded spot near a cafe where people passed by regularly. She spread her dolls neatly on the blanket, adjusting their positions so they looked inviting. She sat behind them, hands folded nervously, hoping someone would show interest. It wasn't long before a small crowd of children gathered, pointing at the dolls and giggling. Lena smiled and let them touch and hold the dolls, answering their questions patiently. A few parents nodded politely, some smiled, but most continued walking. She had just sold a doll to a little boy when she noticed a man standing a short distance away. He was different from the others. Dressed in a sharp suit, polished shoes, and an expensive watch, he moved with confidence and seemed to notice everything around him. But unlike the busy shoppers, he didn't rush past. He stopped and looked at the dolls, studying them closely, his expression thoughtful. Lena felt her stomach tighten. She was used to people walking past, not stopping. The man approached slowly. "Did you make these yourself?" he asked, his voice calm and kind. Lena nodded, surprised that someone was actually talking to her in interest, not just as a passerby. "Yes, sir. I made them myself," she said softly, unsure why someone like him would care. "I'm just trying to sell them. To help my mom." Her voice cracked slightly. She quickly looked down, embarrassed by her own emotion. But the man didn't look away or judge her. He crouched slightly to get a better look at the dolls. "They're very detailed. You put a lot of care into them," he said. He picked up one with a blue dress and turned it in his hands. Most people wouldn't notice this level of work. Lena's eyes widened. People usually ignored her, but this man seemed to see what she had been putting her heart into. "My mom, she's sick. I need money for her medicine," Lena whispered, hoping he would understand. She hated asking for help, but the truth was all she had. She had spent months trying to manage everything on her own, and now sharing her story felt like the only way to reach someone who might actually care. The man's expression softened. "I see, you've been very brave," he said. "And talented. Not many children your age would work this hard, especially under such pressure. Lena blushed, embarrassed by the praise, but she felt a warmth she hadn't felt in a long time. She had grown used to struggles and dismissals, so this recognition felt like a small miracle. He continued examining the dolls, asking her about how she made them, where she learned, and what inspired her. Lena found herself talking more than she had in weeks. She described how she stayed up late at night, sewing tiny clothes, painting faces, making sure each doll felt alive. She told him about her dreams of helping her mother, of maybe one day opening a small shop. The man listened quietly, nodding, genuinely interested. After a while, he smiled. "You have something special here," he said. "Most people would overlook it, but I see it. I want to help you if you'll let me." Lena froze. She had heard people offer help before, but usually it came with conditions or it didn't last. She looked at him, unsure whether to trust him. "Help me? How?" she asked cautiously. The man's smile widened slightly. "Not by giving you money directly. I want to help you sell these dolls on a larger scale. I can introduce you to people who can promote your work. We can make this more than just a small street sale. I want to help you turn your talent into something real." Lena blinked. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Selling on a larger scale? Reaching more people? It felt like a dream, something she hadn't dared imagine. But deep down she felt hope stirring inside her. Maybe this was her chance. I don't know if I can," she said slowly. "I've never done anything like that before. What if I fail?" The man leaned forward slightly, his eyes kind but serious. "Failing is part of learning," he said. "You have talent and determination. That's more important than experience. I'll guide you. You won't have to do this alone." Lena hesitated, thinking of her mother at home, her frail body depending on her. This could be the opportunity she had been waiting for, but she felt fear too. What if she made a mistake? What if someone tried to take advantage of her? She bit her lip, looking down at the dolls spread before her and then back at the man who waited patiently. I'll try," she said finally. Her voice was soft but firm. She felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. She had no idea how this would turn out, but something inside told her to trust him. The man's face lit up with a warm smile. "Good. That's all it takes to start," he said. "Tomorrow, I want you to come to my office. We'll talk about ways to showcase your dolls, and I'll help you set up a plan to reach more people." Lena nodded, trying to absorb everything he had said. She couldn't believe this was happening. A stranger, someone so successful, wanted to help her because he saw her talent. Her heart raced, but a small smile appeared on her face. For the first time in a long time, hope felt real. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. She lay on the mattress beside her mother, staring at the ceiling, imagining what tomorrow might bring. Could she really do this? Could she really trust someone she had just met? The fear of failure lingered, but it was mixed with a new feeling, excitement. Maybe her hard work was finally about to pay off. The next morning, she woke early again, filled with a mixture of nerves and anticipation. She packed the dolls carefully, making sure they looked perfect. Each one represented her hard work, her dreams, and her love for her mother. She walked to the address the man had given her, a tall building that seemed to touch the sky. The world inside was bright, clean, and full of people moving quickly, talking on phones and working at computers. Lena felt small and out of place, but she reminded herself that she belonged here too. Her talent had brought her this far. The man, Alex, greeted her at the entrance. "You made it," he said warmly, noticing her nervous expression. "Don't worry, this will be easy. Just show me your dolls and we'll start planning how to get them to more people." Lena followed him to a quiet office filled with sunlight and shelves of products and books. She laid her dolls carefully on the desk, explaining each one as she had done in the market. Alex listened attentively, asking questions and pointing out what made each doll special. Lena felt a strange sense of pride. Someone was seeing her work in the way she had always imagined, a person who truly appreciated it. By the end of the meeting, Alex had outlined a simple plan. He would help her display the dolls in a small section of his company's corporate store. He would take photographs, post them online, and connect her with a few local shops. Lena was amazed. She couldn't believe this was happening. Her small idea, something she had done on the street, was now turning into a real opportunity. As she walked home that evening, Lena felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. She had been given a chance, and she knew it came with work. She had to learn quickly, adapt, and do her best. But more than that, she felt hope. Hope that her mother could get the treatment she needed. hope that her dreams might actually come true. When she returned home, she found her mother resting, reading a small book. Lena's eyes filled with tears. "Mom, something amazing happened today," she said softly, kneeling beside her. She told her mother about meeting Alex, the plan to sell the dolls on a larger scale, and the promise of help and guidance. Her mother listened quietly, a gentle smile forming on her lips. "I always knew your talent would take you far, Lena," she said softly. "I'm proud of you no matter what." Lena hugged her tightly, feeling a surge of love and determination. This was just the beginning, she knew. But for the first time in months, the future felt a little brighter. The struggle was far from over, but now she had a guide, someone who believed in her, and most importantly, she had hope. As Lena lay down that night, she thought about all the days she had spent struggling, the nights she had stayed awake worrying, and the small steps she had taken to care for her mother. And now, with a single chance encounter, everything felt possible. She closed her eyes, dreaming of the possibilities that tomorrow would bring, ready to take the next step in a journey that could change both her life and her mother's forever. The next morning, Lena woke up feeling nervous but excited. She had never been to a big office like the one she visited yesterday, and the thought of showing her dolls to more people made her heart race. She carefully packed her creations, making sure every dress was neat, every tiny face perfect. Each doll was not just a toy. It was a piece of her heart and a symbol of her dreams. When she arrived at the building, Alex was already waiting for her. "Good morning, Lena," he said warmly, noticing her careful attention to the dolls. "Today we start something special." Lena nodded silently, trying to hide her nervousness. She trusted him, but stepping into this new world was intimidating. Alex led her to a bright room filled with shelves, cameras, and computer screens. "This is where we will prepare your dolls for display," he explained. Lena's eyes widened as she looked around. She had never seen anything like it. Everything was organized, professional, and full of opportunities. It was overwhelming, but she felt a small thrill inside. Alex began showing her how to photograph the dolls, how to arrange them so they looked appealing, and how to describe them in a way that would make people want to buy them. Lena listened carefully, taking mental notes and doing her best to follow his instructions. At first, it felt complicated. There were so many details she had never thought about. Lighting, backgrounds, angles, captions. But Alex was patient, guiding her step by step. "You're learning fast," Alex said encouragingly after a while. Lena smiled, feeling a small boost of confidence. I want to do this right," she said softly. "I want to help my mom." Alex nodded, understanding the deeper motivation behind her effort. Once the dolls were photographed and ready, Alex explained how they would be displayed in a small section of his company's store. "People will see your dolls," he said. "Some will buy, some will admire them, but this is the start. This is your chance to reach more people than ever before." Lena's hands shook slightly as she nodded. She had never imagined that her dolls could be seen by so many. The thought was both exciting and scary. The first day of the dolls being displayed in the store arrived, and Lena felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She had helped Alex set up a small corner with her dolls carefully arranged on shelves, each one labeled with a small card explaining its name and story. She stood back and watched as people began to notice. At first, some walked past, glancing quickly and continuing on. Lena felt her chest tighten. But then a few children stopped, eyes wide with curiosity. Their parents followed, asking questions about the dolls. Lena answered as best she could, her voice gaining confidence as she realized people were genuinely interested. By midday, she had made several sales, more than she had ever sold on the street in a single day. The feeling of pride and relief washed over her. She imagined her mother receiving her medicine soon, and felt a warmth inside that had been absent for months. Each coin earned wasn't just money, it was hope, a chance to change their lives. As the days passed, Lena learned more about running a small business. Alex taught her how to track sales, manage stock, and communicate with customers. Lena had never done anything like this before, but she absorbed everything quickly, eager to succeed. She spent long hours working, sometimes staying late into the evening, adjusting displays, writing product descriptions, and even learning simple marketing techniques online. It wasn't always easy. There were mistakes along the way. A shipment of dolls arrived damaged, some photographs didn't turn out well, and sometimes people left without buying anything. Lena felt discouraged at times, wondering if she could really do this. But Alex reminded her that challenges were part of the journey. Every mistake is a lesson, he said. Don't let it stop you. Keep going. Slowly, Lena began to see the impact of her efforts. More people started recognizing her dolls, asking about her story, and even sharing it on social media. Her small project was growing beyond anything she had imagined. She received messages from people who were inspired by her determination, who admired the love and care she put into each doll. Lena was amazed and humbled. She realized that her work wasn't just about selling toys. It was about sharing a piece of herself, about inspiring hope in others. Even with the growing success, Lena never forgot her mother. Every evening she returned home, counting the money she had earned and planning how to spend it wisely. She paid for medicines, small groceries, and other essentials, always careful to make every coin count. Her mother watched her with pride, sometimes teasing her gently when she stayed up late working. "You work too hard, Lena," she said softly. "But I'm proud of you." Lena smiled, feeling a deep sense of purpose. She knew that this journey was bigger than just making money. It was about responsibility, perseverance, and love. Each challenge she faced made her stronger, more determined to succeed, and more grateful for the opportunity she had been given. As the business grew, Lena began thinking about ways to improve her dolls. She experimented with new designs, different colors, and tiny accessories. She wanted each doll to be unique, to tell a story that would touch the hearts of those who saw it. Alex encouraged her creativity, giving her the freedom to explore her ideas while offering guidance when needed. One day, a local shop owner approached Alex and Lena, interested in selling her dolls in his store. Lena could hardly believe it. Her creations, once sitting on a small blanket on the street, were now being displayed in multiple locations. Her dreams were slowly becoming reality, and the thought filled her with gratitude and awe. Despite the progress, Lena faced moments of self-doubt. She worried about meeting expectations, about making mistakes, about not being good enough. But every time she felt fear, she reminded herself of why she started this journey: the love for her mother and the desire to give her a better life. That purpose kept her going, even when the path seemed difficult. Lena also began to realize the importance of connection. Customers who bought her dolls would often ask about her story, and she shared it honestly. People were inspired by her perseverance and courage, and some even offered encouragement or advice. Lena felt a sense of community forming around her work, a network of people who believed in her and wanted to see her succeed. Through this journey, Lena learned lessons she had never imagined. She learned about responsibility, about patience, and about the power of determination. She learned that success doesn't come overnight, and that every small step, every little effort matters. She discovered a strength within herself that she had never known, a courage to face challenges head-on, and a heart that refused to give up. One evening, after a particularly busy day, Lena sat down with Alex to review their progress. They looked at sales, customer feedback, and social media messages. Alex smiled. "You've done amazing, Lena. Look at how far you've come in just a few weeks." Lena felt a mixture of pride and humility. She knew she still had a long way to go, but seeing the results of her hard work was deeply satisfying. As Lena walked home that night, she thought about her journey. From sitting on the street with a small blanket of dolls to having her creations displayed in a professional store, the change was incredible. She felt a sense of accomplishment, but also a deep sense of responsibility. This opportunity was rare, and she knew she had to continue working hard, learning, and growing. Back home, her mother greeted her with a tired but loving smile. Lena handed over the money she had earned, careful to budget it wisely for medicines and essentials. Her mother looked at her with pride. "You're amazing, Lena," she said softly. "I've never been more proud." Lena felt tears prick her eyes. Her hard work was making a real difference, and seeing her mother smile made every struggle worth it. That night, Lena lay in bed, thinking about the future. The dolls had opened a new world for her, one full of possibilities, challenges, and hope. She didn't know exactly where this journey would lead, but she knew that with determination, creativity, and guidance, she could face whatever came next. She closed her eyes, imagining the day when her mother would be fully healthy again, when her small business would grow even bigger, and when her dreams would continue to unfold. Lena had taken the first big steps toward changing her life. and she knew that every effort she made now would shape the path ahead. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the chance she had been given, for Alex's guidance and for her own resilience. For the first time in a long time, she believed that anything was possible if she kept trying, kept learning, and never gave up. The days that followed were full of both excitement and pressure for Lena. Her dolls were now being seen by hundreds of people, and sales were growing steadily. But with growth came new challenges. Lena had to manage more orders, make more dolls, and keep up with the demand while still caring for her mother. The small apartment they shared was quickly filling with supplies, dolls in various stages of completion, and tiny pieces of fabric and paint scattered everywhere. Lena felt both proud and overwhelmed. Each morning she woke up early, brewed a cup of tea for her mother, and then immediately started working. She would check online orders, package dolls for shipment, and plan new designs for upcoming collections. Even though it was exhausting, Lena found joy in every moment. Every doll sold was a small victory, a sign that her dreams were becoming real, and that her mother's treatment could continue without worry. Alex continued to guide her, but he also allowed Lena space to make her own decisions. "You have the talent, Lena," he reminded her one afternoon. "Now you have to trust yourself." Lena nodded, grateful for his support but also nervous about taking full responsibility. She had always been used to doing everything on her own, but now she was learning that leadership and creativity could go hand in hand. One morning, a problem arose that shook Lena's confidence. A shipment of dolls had arrived at a local store with some minor damage. One doll's dress was torn, another had smudged paint. She panicked, worried that her customers would be disappointed and angry. She ran to Alex, explaining the situation and expecting him to scold her. Instead, he remained calm. "Mistakes happen," he said gently. "It's not the end of the world. What matters is how you handle it." Lena took a deep breath, realizing he was right. She immediately contacted the store, apologized, and offered replacements. Then she carefully examined her remaining dolls, making sure that no more errors occurred. It was stressful, but she learned an important lesson. Challenges were part of growing, and problems could be solved with patience and care. As weeks went by, Lena's dolls began to attract more attention. A local newspaper featured her story, highlighting her determination and creativity. Social media users shared her story widely, inspired by a young girl working tirelessly to help her sick mother. Orders from other cities started to arrive, and Lena found herself needing more help. She hired a few local teens to assist with basic tasks like painting and packaging, making sure to teach them the care and attention each doll required. Despite all the progress, Lena still faced moments of doubt. Some days she would sit in her small room, surrounded by dolls, thinking she might not be able to meet expectations. The pressure was heavy, and sometimes she worried about disappointing her customers, Alex, or herself. But she reminded herself why she had started. Every doll was a step toward saving her mother. Every effort a testament to her love and determination. Her mother, though still unwell, noticed the changes in Lena. She often smiled at her daughter's dedication, offering small words of encouragement. "You're doing something amazing, Lena," she said one evening as Lena carefully sewed tiny dresses. "Remember to take care of yourself, too." Lena nodded, knowing her mother was right, but she couldn't help feeling that time was precious and that every moment counted. The business continued to grow, but so did the challenges. Lena had to learn to balance quality and quantity, to maintain the uniqueness of each doll while fulfilling larger orders. She experimented with new designs, adding tiny accessories, colorful ribbons, and different fabrics. Each creation took hours, but Lena loved the process. She poured her heart into every stitch, every brushstroke, determined that each doll would bring joy to someone else. One afternoon, a young girl came to the store with her mother. The girl's eyes lit up as she saw Lena's dolls. She picked up one carefully, turning it in her hands, and smiled. "It's perfect," she said softly. Her mother nodded in agreement, paying for the doll. Watching the girl's happiness, Lena felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what she had worked for. Not just money, but the ability to bring happiness to others, to make a small difference in someone's life. Even with the growing success, Lena stayed grounded. She never let pride or excitement take over her focus. She continued to care for her mother, to manage the business carefully, and to treat every customer with kindness. Alex watched her progress, impressed by her maturity and dedication. "You're learning fast," he told her one day. "Not just about business, but about life." Lena smiled, realizing he was right. This journey was teaching her lessons she would carry forever. However, not all days were easy. One morning, Lena received an urgent message from a customer. A doll had arrived with a minor defect, and the buyer was upset. Lena felt a wave of panic. She had worked so hard to maintain quality, and now she feared she had failed. She took a deep breath, carefully read the customer's message, and responded politely, offering a replacement and a sincere apology. By the end of the day, the issue was resolved, and the customer thanked her for her honesty and care. Lena learned that mistakes could happen, but handling them with honesty and responsibility made all the difference. As her confidence grew, Lena began thinking about the future. She wanted to expand her business further, to reach more people and to continue helping others like herself. She imagined a small workshop where local artisans could join her, creating dolls and other crafts while earning a fair income. The thought of giving opportunities to others filled her with a sense of purpose and pride. Despite all the responsibilities, Lena never forgot the joy that had started her journey. The simple pleasure of creating dolls, the thrill of seeing someone smile at her work, and the hope that she could make her mother well again. Every challenge, every late night, every obstacle was a step toward something bigger. She realized that success was not just about money or recognition, but about love, effort, and resilience. One evening, after a particularly busy day, Lena sat with Alex to discuss the growing business. They reviewed orders, customer feedback, and marketing strategies. Alex smiled as he looked at her. "You've come so far, Lena," he said. "You've built something real, something meaningful, and you've done it with honesty and heart. That's rare." Lena felt a mixture of pride and humility. She knew there was still a long way to go, but hearing his words reinforced that she was on the right path. Back home, she shared her progress with her mother, who listened intently. "I knew you could do it," her mother said softly, holding Lena's hand. "I've always believed in you." Lena's eyes filled with tears. She realized that her efforts were not only helping her mother's health, but also strengthening their bond and bringing them closer together. As the days turned into weeks, Lena noticed that her small business was creating a ripple effect in her community. People admired her dedication, inspired by her story of courage and love. Some even began creating their own crafts, motivated by her example. Lena felt proud, not just for herself, but for the hope she was spreading. She realized that success was not just about what she earned, but about the difference she could make in the lives of others. Through all the growth and challenges, Lena stayed true to her values. She continued to create each doll with care, to treat her customers with kindness, and to remain humble despite the attention. She understood that her journey was not only about achieving personal goals, but also about responsibility, compassion, and the joy of helping others. One night, Lena sat in her small apartment, surrounded by dolls, supplies, and notes for new designs. She reflected on everything that had happened in the past few months, the struggles, the small victories, the lessons learned, and the hope that kept her going. She realized that the journey had changed her in ways she hadn't expected. She was stronger, more determined, and more aware of the importance of perseverance and kindness. Her mother, resting beside her, smiled softly. "You've worked so hard, Lena," she said, "but don't forget to enjoy the little moments too." Lena nodded, realizing the truth in her words. Even amidst the challenges and responsibilities, there was joy to be found in a smile and a kind word, in the beauty of something created with love. As she lay down that night, Lena felt a deep sense of purpose and determination. The journey was far from over, but she knew that with hard work, guidance, and belief in herself, she could overcome any challenge. The dolls had brought her opportunity, growth, and hope, but they had also taught her about resilience, courage, and the power of love. The path ahead was uncertain, full of challenges and possibilities, but Lena was ready. She had faced fear, doubt, and exhaustion, and she had learned that perseverance could lead to extraordinary results. And as she closed her eyes, she dreamed of a future where her mother was healthy, her business was thriving, and her story continued to inspire others. Months had passed since Lena first met Alex, and the small business that had started with a few dolls on a blanket had grown into something much bigger. Lena's dolls were now sold not only in Alex's store but also in several local shops. Orders continued to pour in from different cities, and she even received messages from people who had discovered her work online. The growth was exciting, but Lena never let it distract her from the reason she had started this journey: to help her mother and provide her with the care she needed. Her mother's health had improved gradually. With the money Lena earned from selling dolls, she could pay for better treatment and ensure her mother had nutritious meals. Seeing her mother smile, sit up comfortably, and laugh again was a reward Lena could never have imagined. It was more than money or recognition. It was the joy of knowing that her efforts were making a real difference in someone's life. Despite the success, Lena's journey wasn't without challenges. The demand for dolls had increased, and she had to ensure that quality never slipped. Each doll still required hours of careful crafting, painting, and sewing. Lena worked long hours, often late into the night, but the thought of her mother and the lives she was touching kept her motivated. She hired a few local artisans to help with certain tasks, teaching them the same care and dedication she put into every piece. It wasn't just about business growth. It was about sharing opportunities and helping others learn and succeed. One day, a major opportunity came her way. A popular online marketplace wanted to feature her dolls in a special section, highlighting unique handmade crafts. Lena was nervous at first. This was a chance to reach thousands of people, but it also came with pressure to meet deadlines and maintain perfect quality. Alex reminded her, "You've done amazing so far. This is just another step. Trust yourself." Lena took a deep breath, reminding herself of all she had accomplished, and agreed to take the challenge. The preparation for the online launch was intense. Lena stayed up late, photographing each doll, writing descriptions, and carefully packaging them for shipment. Every detail mattered, and she wanted everything to be perfect. She learned to balance efficiency with care, ensuring that each doll still carried the love and creativity she had poured into it. Her heart swelled every time she looked at the finished products, imagining the happiness they would bring to someone else. When the launch day arrived, Lena watched nervously as the dolls went live online. Within hours, orders began pouring in. People from different cities and even other states were buying her dolls, inspired by her story of perseverance, creativity, and love for her mother. Lena was overwhelmed with gratitude and disbelief. She realized that her simple act of making dolls had transformed into something extraordinary, touching lives far beyond what she had imagined. As the business grew, Lena never lost sight of her purpose. Every night she counted her earnings carefully, budgeting for her mother's treatment, essential household needs, and investments in her growing business. She often reflected on the early days, sitting on the street with her dolls, unsure if anyone would even notice them. Those memories reminded her of how far she had come, and they gave her strength to keep going. Through this journey, Lena also discovered a sense of community. Customers would send messages sharing how the dolls had brought joy to their children, or how her story inspired them to pursue their own dreams despite difficulties. Some people even offered to help with supplies, marketing, or advice. Lena realized that success was not just about money. It was about connection, compassion, and the ripple effect of one person's determination. Her relationship with Alex had deepened as well. He continued to mentor her, but now he treated her as a true partner. He encouraged her to explore new ideas, take creative risks, and even consider long-term goals for the business. "You've built this with your heart and talent, Lena," he said one afternoon. "Now it's time to dream even bigger." Lena felt inspired. She had never imagined that her dolls could become something so meaningful, not only for her family but for others too. One particularly busy day, Lena received a call from a local school. The principal had learned about her story and wanted her to